It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Brendon Kensel, MBA. Joins me today as the founder and CEO of PrimaHealth Credit. As a former owner and operator of orthodontic practices, Brendon saw firsthand how patients are struggling to pay for out-of-pocket expenses, particularly credit-challenged and underbanked consumers. He started PrimaHealth Credit with a vision to help more patients access the health care they need by offering affordable monthly payment options. PrimaHealth Credit is a fintech company that empowers healthcare providers to offer alternative patient finance solutions at the point of care. Their proprietary platform enables patients, even those with credit challenges, to pay out-of-pocket healthcare expenses with affordable monthly payments while helping healthcare providers solve the challenges of assessing a patient's ability to pay, collecting recurring payments, and managing account receivables. And that's kind of interesting because you're out there in Newport Beach, where there's so many legends out there. Jim Glidewell, Stephen Thorne, Stephen Bilt. And Stephen Bilt is in the news today. I just tweeted, Smiles Direct Club teams up with Smiles Brand. Smiles Direct Club Inc., NASDAQ, SDC has partnered with Smile Brands Inc. and its 450 affiliated dental practices across 18 states. That sounds like what you're talking about. You used to be in the ortho business.
I did. It's actually really interesting you bring that up. It's sort of an interesting strategy that they're pursuing there because, they're partnering with the disintermediators. So rather than get disintermediated, heck, let's just partner. But I think I'm sure part of Steve's strategy is to provide access to care with a affordably priced product, which is an alternative to Invisalign in the clear aligner. So I'm sure that's part of their strategy, but it's definitely interesting.
Well, I'm going to have to go with my other legend out there in Newport Beach, Fred Joyle, the founder of 1-800-Dentist. He says his book was Marketing is Everything. So you point out that it's strange that they were disintermediating the middleman. They were trying to get rid of the need to go to an orthodontist or a dentist, and they do the scan, everything, and now they're going with a big chain of dental clinics. So do you think that's just marketing, that they looked at their marketing costs of acquisition per new client and thought, I'll go with the disintermediator Stephen Bilt?
Well, I think, I'm speculating on what his strategy is, but my guess is that, price point is a point of sensitivity for a lot of consumers that are looking for orthodontic care. It provides them, probably a more affordable product for simple cases. I'm not a doctor, but my personal viewpoint is like Smile Direct is perfectly fine for, your simple class 1 cases, but the more complex cases, I'm still a big believer in going in to see your orthodontist and getting that care where they can provide not only a great looking smile, but also provide the alignment of the jaw and the other things that the orthodontist can help do that it's harder to execute with just, pictures that you're sending a company. But, I think it's a decent strategy, again, to help people that are looking for affordable cases or well-priced cases for, simple corrections.
So you were in the ortho biz before. What was your, tell us about that. How were you in the ortho biz?
I partnered with a doctor, and we owned and operated orthodontic offices in Southern California. And we were, heavily focused on providing Invisalign, and of course we had brackets as well. But, it was all around patient experience and great outcomes is what we were focused on, and built that up over a number of years and then sold it. And that's really what got me interested in patient finance.
So what was the name of that company and who did you sell it to?
It was Elite Smiles. We ended up selling off all the offices in groups to different doctors.
So you had a DSO, and you sold it to the your individual dentists at the store locations?
We did. We had a vision at the time. We started in 2009 and sold it in 2012.
How many locations did you have, and did you sell it to just the orthodontist working for you in your locations?
Yeah, that's generally what we did, and so it was good. But it was a great experience because that's again what got me interested in what I'm doing today, and having fun helping providers build their business.
So how many locations did Elite Smiles have?
9, including owned and operated and affiliated.
So Elite Smiles is what started your whole career in dentistry? That was your foray into dentistry?
It was, and again, that's what got me interested in patient finance. When we were out here in California anyway, at that time, average case was probably $5,000 for orthodontia at the time, and most of our patients needed monthly payments in order to proceed with care, as with most orthodontic environments. And at that time we used care credit just like everybody uses today. But on average, they'd probably approve about 50% of our patients, plus or minus a little bit, which was great. But then I had the other 50% that I'd already paid a cost per acquisition to get into the office and go through the consultation, and they wanted to proceed with care and get either themselves or their kids taken care of. So we did back then what everybody still does, is we put them on a house-based payment plan. But the challenge with that is we don't really know their credit quality. We didn't know their ability to repay, and we weren't that great at collecting from the patients because we didn't want to fracture that relationship. We did have a back office billing team, but they were really more focused on the payers, and again, weren't that great at collecting from patients. So PrimaHealth Credit's really the dream machine I wish I would have had when I was operating, and that's why I started the company.
Wow, and your experience is amazing. I mean, gosh, you used to be the president of MediaShift, a next generation ad tech company that monetizes Wi-Fi networks. You led the company into a commercialization and generated first year revenue of $7.6 million. I got earlier than that, you were president of eSynergies, a diversified digital marketing services company, and co-founder and CEO of Salesmation, a leading rich media online advertising company that was acquired by eSynergies. Prior to experience of that, you were a marketing manager for El Pollo Loco, which was like 100 yards from my office the first 10 years. And I ate there. It was the best chicken place known to man. It was always swamped, standing room only. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it declares bankruptcy, and we're like, what is that? I mean, I never went in there once that it wasn't swamped. How did something that busy go under? It must have been poorly managed to have that much business and go under.
They had this tough time. I think it was when they were affiliated with the Denny's Corporation. That's when they had some challenges. But it's interesting. My experience running field marketing for El Pollo Loco really helped inform the way I thought about marketing and operating orthodontic offices. Obviously, there's a big difference between delivering burritos and delivering care and great smiles to patients, but it's still a multi-unit operation. And so that foundation of multi-unit operation really helped lead to my points of view on how to operate in the medical services arena.
Boy, so El Pollo Loco was connected with Denny's?
They were owned by Denny's Corporation at some point. I don't know that they still are, but back in the day they were.
One of the greatest sushi dinners I ever had with my four boys was with my buddy here in town that owns 8 Waffle Houses. And he was explaining to my boys that the reason he got into Waffle Houses is because he thought Denny's quality was going down. And he said everybody focuses on everything, but they come here to eat breakfast. And he said I have better eggs, I have better flours, I have better pancakes. And he focused totally on the ingredients. And it is amazing how the same similarity as like Smiles Direct Club. Will it be the quality of Denny's, or will it be the quality of the Waffle House? You know what I mean? I mean, if you don't have the quality ingredients, it's tough. And you got your BS from Central Washington University and an MBA from Gracito School of Business and Management at Pepperdine University. Congratulations on that, man. That is a hard one to get into. And leader in development at the U.S. Army War College. What's that about?
That was just an amazing program. I got invited to be a civilian participant in a 1-week national security seminar at the U.S. Army War College. It was part of a leader development program I participated in. It was amazing. They had participants from the State Department, from the Pentagon, as well as a number of folks that were getting ready to graduate that had just gone through the War College. It was absolutely a tremendous experience. Really provided me a wonderful point of view on all the elements of national security, some of which I'd never even considered before. And I enjoyed the opportunity to share my civilian point of view into these national security issues that they were raising at that conference. It was tremendous.
Huh, that is amazing. So, on healthcare, anytime I've seen a really well done study, it's like America, it's a huge country. It's the third most
Mm.
populous country. I mean, it's China, India, then the United States, and then
Yes.
Indonesia. And about half the country is upper class and more, and half is less. And half of the country, they only shop dentistry on price. I mean, if they get a job and their insurance says you got to go here, they're going to go there.
Hmm.
They're going to look for the lowest cost deal. And a lot of dentists, it seems like 99% of the dentists are chasing the richest 10%, and half the country, they go into the office thinking they're going to get a filling for $250. When you tell them it's going to be a root canal, billet and crown for $2,000, half the people are blown away. Did you think, when you were leading 9 orthodontic companies, did you think paying for the ortho was a bigger obstacle for the consumer than trying to find the greatest orthodontist in town?
I think access to affordable monthly payments is a key lever to drive treatment acceptance, whether we're presenting them with an orthodontic case or we're treating them with a more complex dental case. I think in either scenario, you've got to be able to present those monthly payments. Otherwise, the patient's going to have a tough time proceeding. Obviously, in certain dental environments, if you're in pain, you're going to need to figure out how to get it. But still, the affordable monthly payments provide access to care to those folks that really need it and need those payment plans in order to take the next steps.
And what do you think they're more motivated to pay for? Get out of pain or get as pretty as a peacock so I can get married someday?
Well, both, because get out of pain is key. We've all probably been there where we've, definitely needed some dental care. But the reality is, in the U.S., it's sort of the American standard to have a pretty smile. So, I grew the Elite Smiles through a downturn. We grew that business, and we had economic headwinds. So even now,
Economic headwinds. You had an economic collapse. 2009, or you're the only person I've heard with an MBA that called 2009 an economic headwind.
That's
All
right.
my friends said it was an economic collapse. And
But I
you,
think that's right. But I think it points to the opportunity to still grow the orthodontic practice, even in extraordinarily challenging economic times. Because, in the U.S., people still, the standard is a beautiful smile or handsome, beautiful, good looking smile. And parents will do just about anything to get their kids that care they need. So when they're at that point of their life, heading out of junior high school and high school or whenever the right time is, they're getting them into care. Parents will do anything for their kids and really work hard to help them.
yeah, they want to get them braces so they don't end up like my 2 older sisters who, when they graduated from high school, went straight into the nunnery. That's when you know you don't have a pretty smile. I mean, you have to have those straight teeth to avoid the nunnery. The rule of thumb is that the average orthodontic case is $6,500 in 2020. Do you buy that number, or do you think it's less?
Well, I mean, honestly, it varies by geographic market. We serve patients across the United States. We see varying prices. It really depends on the markets that you're in.
And what is the range?
Well, I would probably say 4,000 to 7,000 is the most common range. The higher end tends to be larger, metropolitan environments, higher income environments, and then maybe the lower pricing is, in more rural areas or in states where it's the price just simply isn't going to be supported by the jobs in the area.
And the rule of thumb is that the orthodontist captures that amount of money, say 4,000, 7,000. And I agree. It's tough when you talk about the United States of America. I mean, it's just tough. I mean, no one talks about the EU. They talk about Germany versus, Portugal or Spain or Turkey or the whole 9 yards. But we just lump the 325 million people into the USA. So 4,000 to 7,000 is the range. And in that range, they say, the orthodontist will get that money in 2 years, and the general dentist will get that money from the new patient in 5 years. So the value of a new patient to an orthodontist is 4,000 to 7,000 in 2 years, and to a general dentist be 4,000 to 7,000 in 5 years. Do you agree with that assessment, or do you think that's wrong?
Yeah, no, I think when you're trying to calculate lifetime value, that's going to be about right. But I think that's why we're seeing some of the DSOs that are focused on pediatric dental, and then they add on orthodontia services as a specialty. those groups are going to do really, really well because they've already got, the orthodontic pipeline already built in. You don't have to worry about, creating the partnerships in the community with a pediatric dentist. So that it really enhances and accelerates your ability to drive lifetime value of the patients.
So it's obvious, it's very obvious that the fastest growing business model in pediatric dentistry is to combine ortho. So one pediatric dentist plus one orthodontist really equals 3. And another one that's coming out is periodontist, one periodontist plus one prosthodontist. The periodontists who are all on referral, they have cases where they want their periodontist at 30 years to place all the implants, but it needs to be restored. And so you bring in a full-time prosthodontist, put all under one roof. I mean, if there's anything we learned from 300 years of retail, it's that it started with a shop house 300 years ago where you had a small little shop and lived upstairs.
Yep.
The next generation wiped them out by making a shop twice as big. And it grew all the way to what I think is the maximum, which is about 250,000 square foot for your big Walmarts and Sam's Clubs and Price Clubs and Costco's. And Walmart has acknowledged that they actually got too big, and they've looked at the numbers and said, okay, we shouldn't be that big. I mean, I'm a classic example of that. I mean, I'm not going to go to Walmart. It's like going to a Cardinals game. I mean, I would rather right. I would like to buy most of my groceries when I get my gas, and then I go to the small Safeway. I'm not getting when I go into the Walmart. It's
that's right.
Got to be like a big screen TV or something. But so pediatric dentist plus orthodontist is a growing deal. We know periodontist plus prosthodontist is the same. Is there any other ones? I mean, there's now 12 specialties recognized by the ADA. So that covers 4 of them. Do you think there's going to be any other retail marriages of convenience?
I think we're going to continue to see it, particularly in the current economic environment. And obviously COVID is an added wild card. So we're going through a tough economy. Plus we've got COVID. So I think we're going to see a lot of interesting and unusual partnerships because people need to be creative and effectively create brand new business models in order to figure out how to survive.
Wow. Now, your name, PrimaHealth, and you started in 2009, so you have to be completely aware of subprime lending. And you said that Care Credit rejects probably about 50%, half. I think everybody can agree with that over 20 years. So how do you avoid and how has your new business model as a fintech, financial technology, how are you better able to absorb the impact of the subprime lending and people not paying? Because when you sell a car, you can repo the car. When you sell a house, you can repo the house, but you can't repo dentistry.
Yeah, that's right. And we're really designed to pick up where Care Credit leaves off. We're, as you already noted, we serve credit challenged and underbanked folks. So, they're, we work within the same office environment as Care Credit, but we're built differently, right? We're not a traditional finance company. We're really a technology platform that empowers these providers to offer these payment plans to credit challenged and underbanked. As I noted earlier, a lot of providers, both big and small, are trying to figure out how to do house payment plans internally already, but they're typically not professionally managed, and it's oftentimes a very manual process for them. So our software platform, really automates and professionalizes this existing behavior of them offering these house-based payment plans, and enables them to use our platform and use our credit analytics to more confidently offer payment plans to these patients. So the easiest way to think about it is effectively our platform is professionalizing that existing behavior. And so we work with a lot of our providers in helping them more confidently offer these payment plans. And kind of the outcome is they dramatically reduce the aging AR on their self-pay, dramatically reduce the write-off rates that they have on their self-pay in-house. And so we can help them provide more predictability around the recurring revenue from those payments that they get on a monthly basis, and that then we remit to the provider. And then we can also help, of course, increase their cash flow because they're collecting more. So those, that's how we fit into that ecosystem, and that's how we're serving the market.
Okay, I have 25% of my listeners are still in dental school, and the rest are all 30 and under. So we gotta. I
Yep.
always want to go slow for the kids, and basically, if you're in dental school, so in the whole 32 years I've been in dentistry, you always see these guys get this great idea that they're going to start being the bank. And so someone comes in and needs $5,000 worth of dentistry, and they say,
Yep.
okay, let's divide 5,000 by 60 months. What is that? So that's $5,000 divided by 60 months, and they'll say, okay, we're going to spread that over 83 months. So you pay me, we're going to spread that over. Problem is, you have your overhead, and and then you have people that don't pay. You don't realize that you had to do dentistry on other people to make a profit to pay for the overhead on the dentistry that you did and didn't get paid for. So, for instance, if you do $10 worth of dentistry and the average overhead is 2/3, so let's say it costs you $6, and they give you one payment of $1, and then they don't pay you the rest. Well, you didn't make the profit, the $4, but you still incurred $6 of costs, and they only gave you one payment of $1. So that means you're going to have to go take $5 of profit from patients you did dentistry on to go cover this loss. So what we've seen over the years is that dentists have done things like they'll say, hey, I'll give you a cash discount of 10% if you pay me in full, because he's thinking, okay, if this is $10 of dentistry, it costs me $6, and I give you a 10% discount. Instead of making $4, I'll make $3, but I got guaranteed $3. They want the money in-house. And then CareCredit came along and said, you're not a banker. We'll be your banker. So what are the terms for CareCredit, how you do it differently? I mean, how would you explain their basic business model to kids? I mean, how much money? So I do $10 with a dentistry, and CareCredit says, I'll give you the $10 minus how much money? How much money do they usually?
I would use, if I was still operating today, we would use CareCredit all day long for a Prime credit. So, but the question you have to ask yourself is, let's just say you do 100 or, a one office practice is doing $100,000 or $200,000 a year with CareCredit. Again, on average, they're probably approving about 50%. It could be plus or minus a little bit, but that means they're turning down $100,000 or $200,000 in potential production. So then the question is, great, what are you doing with that? Right? Are you letting them walk out the door, or are you trying to figure out a solution? And so, what our PrimaHealth Credit enables these providers to do is offer a real solution where we're, screening them using credit analytics that are tailored to the healthcare segments that we serve, dental, orthodontia, and so on and so forth, to help protect the provider and provide more predictability around the collections. Now, there's a couple of additional things that you can do, the providers can do, to protect themselves, especially in the context of house payment plans in our platform. One is to ask for a deposit. So almost all the folks we work with, I recommend that you ask for a 10 to 20% deposit. You want to cover those fixed costs that you have in providing that care. So that's lever number one the doctor can use. Lever number two is use shorter duration loans. Like unless it's a very high dollar procedure, like maybe we're doing a full mouth restoration, you don't need 48, 60-month terms. In general dentistry, typically our clients are using 3, 6, 12, maybe 18-month plans. If it's really expensive, maybe a 24-month plan. In orthodontia, almost all of our providers are using 12, 18, and 24-month plans. So it's all shorter duration payback periods. And that's exactly what you want as a provider. And that kind of goes to your point, Howard, which is, look, protect yourself a little bit up front by taking a deposit, whether it be 10 or 20%, and keep the duration of the loan shorter. And by the way, these are all things our platform does automatically for the provider in real time as the patients apply. So they don't have to, the front office staff isn't trying to figure this out in real time.
What is it? Is the dentist more on the hook with this system to go with the people that are being turned down by CareCredit that half the market? Do you have more? What is it called? What does it start with the word oh my gosh, what was that word? Recourse. Yep. Or do the dentists have more recourse, or do you have more recourse with the dentists on their patients that don't pay?
Yeah, I mean, again, all we're doing is professionalizing what they're already doing, the house payment plans, right? And so they're using our technology platform, our software platform, to quickly issue those credit applications and use our credit underwriting algorithms to screen out the folks that really can't pay them back. So we're screening out fraud, we're screening out near-term bankruptcy, we're screening out people that really aren't even making enough income to make the monthly payments. And that, again, that platform and that outcome now puts the provider in a position to have a more predictability around collecting those payments and getting paid. And so that's what we're doing. But
so you're not paying off the patient balance. You're not like Care Credit where you're saying, okay, I'll pay you for Mr. Jones' ortho
That's
case minus about what percent? When Care Credit does that and they say, okay, we're going to give you $5,000.
Well, on a 24-month plan, which is obviously very common in orthodontia, I think it's 14.9 is their current rate merchant discount fee.
Okay, so if Care Credit says, okay, we'll pay for this $5,000 ortho on a 24-month plan, and it's 14.9% interest about reduction that the dentist pays to get his money today. So you're not doing any of that. You're just you're offering the dentist the tools for them to analyze this themselves and see if they want to take the risk.
Yeah, that's right. So we configure that account up front. And as we receive the payments from the borrower, we remit them on a monthly basis to the healthcare provider. The way we make money is we charge interest rate to the borrower, and we charge a small one-time fee to the healthcare provider for each loan. But our interests are aligned with the healthcare providers we work with. We get paid when they get paid. So we're very incentivized to do a great job in being thoughtful on the underwriting side. And then part two is we also service and collect on those loans to ensure they're getting paid. And that includes both automated follow-ups via email and SMS text, as well as outbound phone calls if needed.
Wow. And how long has this been in business?
Well, we really launched this current product about a year ago. So we've, since we kicked this product off, we've grown really rapidly, had great adoption. Again, most of the clients that we work with tend to be multi-unit operators, because they're looking for solutions like this. They're very aware of their aging and, struggle to collect from self-pay. And that's really where we found the sweet spot.
So you're speaking of DSOs, you're out there in my gosh darn Newport Beach, California.
Yes.
And Steve Thorne's out there. He's got 450 locations. It was Smile, Steve Thorne, Pacific Dental. So did you get your two neighbors?
Not yet, but we're working on it. Of course, those are great accounts to have.
Well, have you talked to Steve Bill of Smile Brands?
So right now we are operate in 5 states. We operate in California, Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida, and we will be rolling out nationally by the end of this calendar year. So as we roll nationally, we're going to be in a much better position to support Smile Brands and support Pacific Dental.
So say that again. Right now, you're in what states? You're in
California, Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida. And we'll be rolling out nationally this calendar year.
Do you have an employee on the ground in Arizona?
No, not from a sales standpoint.
Well, I'm in Arizona, so have them shoot me an email, who's ever in charge of Arizona, and I'll reply with my office manager, and we'll look into this because, I'm awesome. In Phoenix. I'm not in Scottsdale. I'm not in Paradise Valley. I'm not in Sun City. I mean, I'm in Phoenix, and I'm in the corner of 48th Street and Elliott. So in my 5-mile radius, everything going west, north is the Guadalupe Indian Reservation at 25,000 people that don't even have a dentist. And then you go north, it's South Phoenix, and South Phoenix is the poorest part of Phoenix north of us. And finance is everything. Like you say, it's if a dentist has $100,000 a year with Care Credit, they turn down 50% of the applicants, they just missed out on $100,000. I mean, my gosh, dentists always, like when chairside milling came out, and everybody kept saying, you can offer same-day crown, same-day crown. When I tell
Yes.
someone in Arizona they need a crown for $1,000, no one asks me if they can get it in the same day. They go, holy moly, $1,000. I'm glad I
Yes.
take Delta. They're only, because that'll kick it down to $650 or all these things like that. But money's the answer. What's the question for half of Americans?
Oh yeah, they need these payment plans. And it's interesting. As I mentioned, we serve both credit challenged and underbanked. And underbanked oftentimes doesn't mean they have bad credit. It just means there's not a lot of credit history, or they just never really accessed traditional credit in the U.S. They may be first or second generation immigrants. And we've designed our platform and our underwriting algorithms to be able to support those folks. So we can accept both a social security number or individual tax ID, and can underwrite them.
So how many people right now in dental school, where they're already, they just graduated, say this the COVID class of 2020, they got $400,000 of student loans. What do you think their own credit rating is? How many of them do you think would not get approved for $5,000 of credit for care credit to get dentistry? I mean, they've got to be credit challenged and underbanked.
Consumer finance, they're definitely challenged, right? Because the debt load is high, and it just depends on how consistently they've been paying their bills. Now, the good news for the doctors coming out of school, a lot of the banks will finance their practices because they know they're going to have a 20, 30-year career, and it's fairly predictable there. So they're, as far as trying to launch their career, they're in decent shape.
So your last company you started in 2009, we'll call that the Lehman's Day company. This one you decided to start in 2020, we'll call it the coronavirus. I'm going to call you in 2030 and see what you're starting, because I'll know there's another economic crisis. So in all seriousness, what does the market look like to you? The ADA, we out here in Arizona, we had to close down for 50 days between, my gosh darn, we closed down on St. Patrick's Day and opened up in Cinco de Mayo. It's come back. The ADA said it was a sharp comeback to about 71%, but it's kind of flattening out.
Oh yeah.
A couple of DSOs like Rick Workman at Comfort Dental told me a couple days ago that he had the best month of his entire Comfort Dental history. And obviously that was due to pent-up demand. But if the ADA is saying that the average dental office, the market came back to about 70% and it's plateaued, why do you think Comfort Dental, with 300 locations, got all the way back to 100 and plus percent? Do you think that was just better execution, better leadership? Are you familiar with Rick Workman? I mean, Rick, Rick Kirshner?
I think tip of the hat to them. They probably did a great job executing on following up with recalls, rebooking those patients, getting them in effectively, because obviously that's been a challenge with, trying to maintain social distancing and wear all the protective gear and everything in between. It's tough, but look, mid-March through April, everybody got hit, right? In dental and orthodontia, where it was either shut down or slowed down to a crawl. And then as we headed into May, everybody's trying to crawl out of this hole. In the meantime, they were rescheduling. There's a lot of pent-up demand, as you just noted. We're still seeing these reschedules are still being rescheduled out into September, October. So there's still a patient backlog that a lot of folks are still trying to work themselves through. But I think, the key for these practices and multi-unit operators as we recover from this is, everyone's trying to return to regular operations, and they have to ramp up revenue to offset the losses that everybody experienced in the prior months. And so the guys that can do that quickly and execute well, I think, are going to be ahead of the others. Now, it's interesting in our business, and we see this firsthand as a finance platform. We've got an increasing number of American consumers that are having a tougher time with credit, right? They've lost their job, or they had job disruption, so they maybe missed a bill or two. Next thing you know, their credit's getting impacted. At the same time, the prime, credit lenders in the market, particularly Care Credit, they're tightening up their credit criteria for prime credit folks. So that means fewer people are getting approved. And, ultimately, a solution like ours is actually is working right now because more people need those affordable monthly payments for people that are distressed and can get going. So it's interesting in our environments and our clients. We've also seen enormous rebounds, and July was one of the best months we've ever seen, and, across almost all the partners we work with. And I think those are the dynamics that play into that.
Wow. And, restaurants, and to put this in perspective, folks, I know you're hurting. I know you're sad. I know this is the worst thing you've seen in dentistry. But, when we closed down from St. Patrick's Day to Cinco de Mayo, we're about open to about 71%. Restaurants, 80% of them are still closed. So I know you're listening to this and you want me to cry you a river, but, there's always someone getting it worse than you. And my gosh, I'd still rather be a dental office any day of the week than a restaurant. My gosh, I just can't believe how hurting restaurants are. Do you agree with that? I mean,
oh,
wow.
Yeah, they're getting hurt. There's a few models that are succeeding, drive-through heavy models like a Jack in the Box or, Chick-fil-A that does heavy drive-through business. Those folks are surviving. Also, they're, dependent on those delivery services. But I think your point's right. Whatever business we're collectively in, if you can figure out how to adapt to our new normal, those are the folks that are going to not only survive but thrive. And I think that's the key is, everyone's, dentists and orthodontists included, are trying to figure out how to modify their operational execution to survive and then thrive in this environment.
So the ADA, our buddy Marco Vucicek, is he's saying that 19.7% of dental offices are back to normal, but 70.5% are open but lower patient volume than usual. 7% are closed but seeing emergencies only, and whatever is left, what's that, 70, 80, 90, just some change is still closed and not seeing any patients. Did you hear the World Health Organization's comment yesterday? I mean, just unbelievable. Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, the World Health Organization just posted craziest thing. I mean, it's out of nowhere, and they didn't talk to the ADA and other people. They just have a joint conference, and it was said they said delay routine dental checkups. WHO urges until COVID risk is known. Reuters, dental patients and staff need to be protected from any potential infection by aerosol-generating procedures. The World Health Organization said Tuesday, as dentists return to work in areas where the COVID pandemic is easing, there is currently no data on the spread of coronavirus from the dentist chair. It said, calling for more research into common procedures that produce tiny floating particles that may cause infection in hell. These include three-way air water spray, ultrasonic cleaning dental equipment that removes deposits from tooth surface, and polishing. The World Health Organization said new guidance. World Health Organization guidance recommends, in case of community transmission, to give priority to urgent or emergency oral cases to avoid, So it's like, okay, so you're the World Health Organization. We're flipping 7 months into a pandemic. You have no cases of dental offices deal. I mean, do you have the evidence that there's no contamination in hospitals from patient to patient? I mean, where the hell did this come from? Here's my homies that have spent a ton of money on air filtration, PPE, lights, got rid of their waiting room. I mean, completely turned the dental office upside down to make it an emergency room. We've been treating people fine with HIV for 40 years, and they say we have no evidence but just shut down anyway. Are they out of their freaking mind? Are they going to give up their paychecks? Will they not get paid until all these dental offices they recommend closing down are opened again?
Yeah, and I disagree with that guidance. I think that there is a safe way to still deliver care. The reality is we could still be in this a year from now. It just depends on how quickly they can get a vaccine tested and then widely distributed. So, I went in and had a recent hygiene appointment. They did manual scaling. They didn't do the polishing, and I'm fine with it because they're coming up with new ways to deliver the care that I need and I want in a safe way, or in the safest way possible, right? And I think that's the key. There's still a lot of great ways to deliver care to the patients out there, both dental and orthodontia, and to keep everybody safe. So I don't think we need to shut the doors and turn the lights out. Are there ways that the doctors might modify care? Yes, but I don't think we need to shut the lights out.
Yeah, it's amazing how easy it is for these government agencies who have a guaranteed job, and the people paying for their taxes, they only get Social Security, but the government jobs, they get Social Security and a government pension, and they can't lose their job, and it's just so easy. When people don't feel the pain, it's so easy for them to tell other people in pain what to do. It's like maybe you should feel the pain before you open back up. When I asked you about when you said, when I said Rick Kirshner opened back up and he's back to pre-pandemic levels, and we both agreed it's from better execution, but you rattled off some great points on better execution. What was the execution you said? Calling back patients, rescheduling, or what were you saying on the logistics side?
It's obviously a multi-pronged strategy, which is doing a great job on the recalls, getting those patients back in here, getting that your funnel rebuilt from a marketing standpoint, executing there. And then I think executing and operating in this environment is tough for everybody, right? We know that because they're wearing the PPE. Oftentimes, they're calling from the car, you're retrieving them from the car, checking a temperature. In some cases, they're separated in operatories if you don't already have individual rooms. So there's a lot of operational challenges. But I think the organizations that adapt the quickest to these new challenges that we all have to live with for the time being, those are the ones that are going to succeed. And my guess is they figured out very, very quickly on how to do a great job on all the above, plus some items I'm sure I didn't even mention.
Wow. So where are you kind of bummed that you launched this and then the pandemic hit? I mean, if you could go back in time, if you could go back to Christmas, there you are drinking your eggnog with Jameson in it. I'm just assuming maybe you're Irish. Would you have still opened it back up? Or would you have waited a year to launch this, or your timing? If you knew what you knew now when you launched, would have waited, or are you glad you attacked in the middle of the pandemic?
Well, again, we launched really in July 2019, so the economy was really quite good. And I would much prefer a great economy, but we're designed as a solution for people that need help when they don't, their credit is challenged, they're having a tough time, to serve the underserved and to help the underbanked. So, we're designed to actually thrive in this environment in a tougher economy, and we're providing a way for them to access the care they need. And we're providing the providers a platform in which to depend on to really identify whether these patients really in fact could pay or not. And so, good economy, bad economy, our platform is designed to serve both, because there's always going to be those folks that need, affordable monthly payment plans to proceed and accept care.
Okay, well, you got your MBA. So in MBA school, they taught me that those were inferior goods, that during a downturn, you'd rather go to Taco Bell and eat 2 tacos and a Coke for $1 than go to Applebee's and drop $7. Going home and picking up a 6-pack of beer and taking it home is cheaper than going to a bar and having a fancy umbrella in it and all these things like that. So what you're saying is that during an economic downturn, it's going to be there's going to be more people having more challenges of getting financing available. So actually, you could say it was perfect timing for your company.
It was.
Yeah, and
better to be lucky than good sometimes.
Oh, you always take luck over being good. Oh my gosh, nothing sweeter than a little good luck. So how are you doing? I mean, you're in California, Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida. Why are you in those 5 states and not the other 45? Is for our international listeners, do you have to go do this in every single state? Because it's not like some countries where if you just did it for Singapore, it's for the whole country. Is there a national thing you could do to make it national, or do you got to jump through the hoops of 50 different states?
Yeah, no, great question. We are licensed lenders in each state that we operate in. So that's part of it. But as I mentioned, we have partnered with a bank. We'll be rolling out nationally by the end of this year. So we'll be able to serve offices across the United States. We're really excited by that. But I think part of the reason when we launched early, there's a huge concentration of dental and orthodontia providers in the states we operate in. We're in Oklahoma because we're supporting a couple strategic partners that spill into that state out of Arizona and Texas. But like,
oh, you got to tell me the name. I'm in Arizona. What's the
I won't name names. I won't name names on the air because I want, I want to get permission from our clients to talk about the platform. But
just email me, howard@dentaltown.com, and I'll never quote you at the source.
okay, cool. But those are great states to be in, and obviously, if we're in those states, the next big concentration of dental and ortho providers are up in the Northeast corridor. But we're picking up a good chunk of providers just in the states that we're.
So it sounds like you're more that orthodontics is your focus is orthodontics and second general dentistry. Would you say that?
No, we're actually the bulk of what we finance today is dental, and then ortho is second.
Okay, so you're doing more dental than ortho, and the other thing that needs massive financing is the implant case. I mean, the only really big cases, I mean, these all-on-4 cases are $50,000. You're talking about ortho cases for $4,000 to $7,000. Could you finance an all-on-4? Could you do an all-on-4 for $50,000 with an implantologist?
Great question. Our underwriting models are designed to support $300 to $24,000. And
say that again. The range.
$300 to $24,000.
$300 to $24,000.
Yeah, we've looked at extending it, and if we had a large dental implant partner, we'd work with them to, deliver a custom program. But, for most of our providers, they're not doing full mouth restorations. They may just be doing partial implants. And so typically our range, more than covers what their needs are.
Wow. And where does that 24,000 come from? What is the mathematical limit that pick 24,000?
There's no real magic to it, but it's how we've built out our models, our underwriting models, and calculating, whether a person is in a position to repay that amount over, the recommended terms or the suggested terms.
Wow. So why did you start PrimaHealth Credit? I mean, I look at your history. You've done so many things. With everything that you're looking at, with everything that you could have done, why PrimaHealth?
Well, I mean, first of all, being a former operator in orthodontia, I saw there's a huge need, right? We had a pain point when we were operating, and PrimaHealth Credit's really designed to solve that pain point I had as a former operator. And as you mentioned earlier on the podcast, I have a deep background in advertising technology companies, so I've built software companies before. And so it was really just kind of a combination of my experiences, building software, the orthodontia dental business kind of combined to deliver this solution where I knew there was a pain point, a huge opportunity to professionalize this existing behavior that's in the marketplace.
Do you think Care Credit is ripe to be challenged? I mean, it's kind of like I always joke with Benco and Burkhardt. I said, it should be really easy for you to get. I mean, if Shine has a quarter of the market and Patterson has the other quarter of the market, everybody has upset customers that don't want to come back. I mean, you just think just the upset customers who don't want to go back to Patterson or Shine would be enough to just make a new Benco, a new Burkhardt. Do you think there's so much upset people? I mean, if you go to Dentaltown, what I love about Dentaltown is it's not, the Twitter, Instagram, LIFO, last in, first out. It's organized. So when you go and you search Care Credit, you pull up 409 threads talking about it, and most of the titles are not flattering. I mean, it's a lot of pissed off people. Do you think it's ripe for disintermediation?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, we don't compete with Care Credit. We really pick up where they leave off. But I think in the marketplace as a whole, there's opportunity to provide an alternative, better platform, better reporting, slightly better pricing. These are all common reasons that I'm sure you would read in your message board or your comment board about what people are frustrated with. And, look, it's an amazing business. I think they originated about $11 billion in the United States last year in elective care. It's an absolute cash cow for Synchrony, so tip of the hat to them. But, I do think there's opportunity to provide alternatives.
Yeah. I remember when it was back in 2013 where the Attorney General Snyderman announces agreement with GE Capital, Retail Bank, and Care Credit,
Yep.
stopping high pressure. You remember all that?
Yep.
But GE spun off Care Credit, right? They're no longer.
They did. They're now owned by a publicly traded company called Synchrony.
So when you and I were getting our MBAs, Jack Welch was the god. I mean, you had to make the sign of the cross every time they said his name. GE was like one of the only companies that survived the whole century last year. I mean, if you go to Japan, do you know the name of the only company in Japan that's been around for over a century that's publicly traded? Nintendo.
Really?
It started in like 1895 with playing cards, and playing cards eventually turned into the most addictive drug I ever tried in my life was Nintendo 64. I had 4 boys. They were like 1, 3, 5, and 7, and I stupid dad went and bought Nintendo, and I came home, and I thought it was just a game. I didn't know you had to get 124 stars. I didn't know that every night when I came home, it would be like 2 hours with my boys. It took us half a year for Dad to finally get it. It was a game of 4, so Zach was too little to play. But it took us half a year to get that. And when I got done playing that, I said, I'm never playing a video game again because I was completely addicted to that thing. But Nintendo went 100 years. GE went 100 years. And then fell from grace like nobody's business. Did you see GE's collapse coming? Or since you're in the fintech space, did you? What do you make of all that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot's been written about it, but I do think it's about new innovation in the market that snuck up on them, and then they weren't quite prepared to adapt. They were innovative in some ways, but not in others, and I think that's what ultimately hurt them a little bit. I've always been a startup entrepreneur, as obviously you cited earlier. So I've always been focused on targeting incumbents and looking for opportunities in the marketplace where people are either underserved, or there's opportunity to serve them better, a combination of all of the above, or provide better pricing. So I'm always forward-leaning and aggressive when I look at opportunities in the market. It's a totally different viewpoint than when you're sitting in the corporate cat seat.
So I want you to give the kids some perspective. Like during this downtime, the first thing the dentist thought is, we got to buy all this PPE fee, and so I want the insurance companies, I want Delta to have a PPE fee, and then a New York Attorney General immediately passed a law that says you cannot charge PPE fees, and even when you talk about patient financing, they say, well, if Care Credit. I'm just reading a thread where he says, well, if they charge 10%, then just raise all your fees 10%. Pollution solved. The solution is always want to raise your fees and drop insurance. And right now we're in the middle of the most uncertainty I've seen in my 58 years of life. In this much uncertainty, what do you think of raising fees, charging an additional PPE fee, dropping dental insurance, going a cash practice? What do you think of that? Do you think that's I've had enough, we're at rock bottom is the best foundation to start new, or do you think this is not the time to be doing something like that and just get through the storm?
No, I mean, I think, look, all dentists and orthodontists are still trying to run a business, and if they're not profitable, they will no longer be in business. So, they have to protect themselves. I personally am okay with the idea that I might get charged for PPE, whether it be a $10 or $15 charge. And I know some states are either have or working to outlaw that. I'm also okay with the idea that if you can't go that route, you just slightly increase your treatment fees. I recognize, because obviously we serve people that are underserved and have credit challenges, that people are price sensitive. And I know we have a lot of small as well as multi-unit operators out there that serve people that are very price sensitive. But at the same time, we're offering these great finance solutions, whether it's through Prime Credit Solutions or whether it's through a turn down solution like PrimaHealth Credit. There's opportunities to get these amounts easily financed, even if it's just incremental $10 or $15, $20. A lot of times in these environments, people aren't looking at a price sheet prior to receiving, care. They're getting quoted, hey, this is your recommended treatment plan, and this is the number. So, I'm okay with the idea that you've got to increase it slightly to protect yourself and continue to have a viable business, because otherwise these doctors just won't be around.
So it sounds like the big new thing, besides you in the last year in this space, has been these in-house payment plans. Our office started. There's a lot of companies that do it for you. A lot of companies just do it themselves, where a patient comes in and you say, if you give us this monthly fee, we give you this plan that covers your cleaning, exams, and x-rays, and they have the whole deal. This looks like, if someone's doing that in-house, this looks like some serious fintech platform that can help you make better decisions. And let me just tell you the goal of this. I mean, Netflix last year at certain times was worth more than Disney, because Wall Street liked the fact that all their customers were going to give them a fixed amount every month. Every month, Netflix could bill millions of people for $10, and that $10 a month, that reoccurring revenue, is why Spotify and Netflix and Amazon Prime, it's what everybody wants to do. Whereas the old Disney model was, well, we're going to think of a movie, we're going to invest $100 million into it, and we're hoping it's going to be a $300 million blockbuster, and we're going to make a ton of money. And Wall Street's like, yeah, and sometimes you launch that movie and you don't even recover your costs. We like the sure thing of this recurring revenue. But what I don't like about the in-house payment plans is like Netflix, they have you into perpetuity. But every dental office I see, they set up for a 12-month deal, and then at the end of the year, you're back to square one. I would really be excited about these in-house dental insurance plans or dental membership plans or in-house payment plans, whatever you want to call it. If you signed up where I can, on the first day of every month, I can ding your credit card until the end of time, and someone calls from the mortuary and says that you're dead. Do you see what you're doing as something that could give a lot of augmentation and sophistication to that in-house payment plan?
Yeah, certainly. We're obviously not designed as an alternative to health insurance, and I'm familiar with the plans you're talking about. But we definitely are providing more predictable annuity stream to the doctors that use our platform, right? Because, again, we've underwritten these folks, so there's much more predictability around their ability to pay. We're doing all the services and collection. So if someone misses a payment or there's an NSF, we're the ones following up and making sure that payment gets made and then submitted it to the doctor. So it provides a lot more predictability around that annuity that you just talked about.
Some of the dentists are just listening to this in the car, and maybe they're still in school, or they're an associate somewhere, and they think, well, wouldn't the easiest payment plan just to be get their credit card number, get their Visa number, and just bill it every month? I mean, why? They might be thinking, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Why don't you just give me your credit card, and we'll break it up into 10 payments for this much money, and we'll just ding you, why not that?
Yep.
How is that not a better idea?
And that's a perfectly fair way to think about it, I think. And that's, what we used to try to do. But again, the challenge with that is we don't really know the person's ability to pay. And the first time you have an NSF or a card decline, is your staff really doing the outbound call? And what I've found is they're not doing that outbound call to cure that missed payment. And, when you ask a small operator, well, what's your late pay or what's your delinquency rate? Well, they will always tell you, I have zero delinquency rate. Well, you and I both know that's not true, but it's because they really don't know what's going on in their own portfolio, if you want to call that. They don't know that they have a number of missed payments. The larger multi-unit operators, they're acutely aware of the number of missed payments. They know what their aging AR is. They know what their write-off rates are on their self-pay. They usually know that. But when you're a smaller operator, just put it on credit card, it's a tough deal because they struggle to collect it.
I will not go. I have two credit cards. I have a Visa, Chase Visa, and American Express, because when I'm in the United States, I cannot believe at least once every 3 to 4 months somebody declines my card, and I think it's because when you're out lecturing around,
that's right,
and it throws it off. It's like, well, Howard lives in Phoenix. What the hell is he doing in Florida? Someone stole his car. And then when I go overseas, we call the American Express, and they put a note in the deal to say, hey, Howard is going to Cambodia. Please don't cancel his car. But I will not go out of the country anymore without $1,000 in 20s, because Benjamins aren't going to do you any good in Malaysia or Indonesia or Africa. And I take $1,000 in 20s, and it's quite annoying because so much of this stuff has gone bad. But I want to ask you something completely related, but maybe unrelated, is dental offices, to show you how good they're doing, how lucrative they're doing. At least every month, I always post when someone's goes to jail for embezzling from a dental office. And it's always a ton of money. It's always like, I posted one the other day, and in 4 years, she lifted $800,000. I'm telling my dentist friends, like, okay, dude, if you owned a gym or a restaurant, there was an $800,000 sale. The fact that she could steal $800,000 in 4 years, and you don't even know it, trust me, dude, you're a dentist in America. I mean, only dentists in America can have $800,000 stolen from them, and they don't know it. Go try stealing $800,000 from your grandma today after work, and let's see if she figures that out. And so I would want this fintech platform to do financial credits on HR for employees. I mean, there's a lot of dentists. I mean, this one dentist, I was reading the case, and this lady has worked at 3 different dental offices 3 times. She's embezzled, but she moves from Florida to Georgia, then she moves to Arizona. And are you using your platform in HR? Because some people think desperate people do desperate things.
No, we're not using it for HR screening, but our platform enables a doctor to protect themselves from the very scenario you talked about. So why? Because when we finance them and get them up on our payment plan, we remit those payments twice a month to the healthcare provider directly into their bank account via ACH. And so there's no way that so we send it directly to their bank. So that way, the office staff can't intercept that check or have the payments directed anywhere else.
Yeah. So ACH is Automated Clearinghouse, is an electronic funds transfer system, and that's kind of and that actually scares me, because when I was little and opened up my practice, the only way you could steal was you had to come back in my office and get a check, forge a signature, and I had it happen one time. It was for $4,000, and the check never cleared. So finally, I called my Chase Bank, and they said, well, it was cash. We take a picture whenever one cashes, and it's that lady that works with you. And I said, bring it over, and she brought over a picture of and it was my dental assistant with this $4,000 check. And so me and the banker lady, we went and showed it to her, and she just burst out bawling and runs out of the office, and whatever. And I was so young and blown away. But now with all this digital technology, I mean, now you hear of people paying on a credit card, and your receptionist is punching it in so it goes right into her bank account. Or some people say, some embezzler experts say that now there's 10 times more ways to embezzle money in 2020 than there was in the year 2000. Do you agree with that?
Oh, sure. And I won't go into all the security protocols we employ to provide protection against that, because I don't want to give anyone ammunition, but our front office staff that might be looking for ways to circumvent systems. But we have quite a few security protocols in place to protect the healthcare provider and protect the doctor, to ensure they're in fact receiving the money.
I gotta tell you that the embezzling in dental offices is a huge problem. Dental consult. So when you need a dental consultant, when you're sitting there thinking, man, I work hard, I'm always busy, I work through lunch, I think I'm doing everything right, I don't have any money. Well, those are the people calling dental consultants. And when dental consultants come in, half of you guys they find embezzling, and it's just it's a tough thing. And then I can't teach you how to do it. I have 2 courses on Dental Town. We got 400 courses. They've been viewed 1 million times. I got 2 on embezzling. One's by Sandy Purdue. And that's the big hardest thing about getting them to make a course. They're like, well, I don't want to tell you everything, because then I'm going to educate your receptionist on how to steal you blind. So it's really a tough deal. I mean, it's like you can't come out with a course, how to kill your dental assistant and not get caught by the police. I mean, that would be, gosh, it's just crazy times. So I can't believe we went over an hour. I hope, so was there anything that you were hoping that we would talk about today that I was too dumb to bring up?
I think we covered it. It's been a great conversation. Definitely enjoyed it.
Well, how can we, so give my homies an action plan. So your website is PrimaHealthCredit.com. PrimaHealthCredit.com. What are my homies going to find when they go to PrimaHealthCredit.com? And is that the website they should go to?
Yep, PrimaHealthCredit.com. You can go there. You can check out how it works. We'll talk about how the program works for elective care providers. There's a contact form. Always happy to talk to you. It doesn't matter whether you're, a smaller operator, small group, or multi-unit operator. Love to chat with you. Happy to talk with you how we can help you build your business.
And for those of you driving, I appreciate the oh my God, how many people are following me on Twitter nowadays? 26,000 dentists follow me on Twitter, and 40,000 on LinkedIn. But what I always do is I always retweet something from him. So his last tweet was yesterday with PrimaHealth Credit, easy to use payment platform, ambulatory surgery. Oh, I should retweet a dental one. Do you have a dental tweet? Oh, yeah, there it is from August 10th. With PrimaHealth Credit, DSOs and dental group practices can ramp up revenue to offset losses incurred from the prior months. Learn how you can expand your patient flow and generate more cash flow by offering affordable payment today. So I'll retweet that to you 26,000 homies out there on Twitter. And that way you don't have to, they're driving and I don't want them to stop.
I appreciate it. And that's summarizes extremely well exactly what we do.
And then on the same thing with LinkedIn. We'll do that on LinkedIn. But thank you so much for coming on the show, Brendon. I would have just done this on iTunes if I seen how good your hair was before we started. You're making me look extra bald today. But good luck on this. FinTech, I love the way America they innovate out of this. And I got to tell you this, man, this pandemic, so you had a 10-year, Joseph Schumer got a Nobel Prize in economics talking about cycles. And the reason cycles don't go away is because the same crazy Homo sapiens are making all the business decisions. And after about 10 years of really wild decisions, you get checked. And every time you get checked, so the last one was 2009 Lehman's Day. The one before that was the Y2K 2000. The one before that was Black Monday in 87. The one before that was 81 when they put Paul Volcker in there to stop inflation. But this is the worst one I've seen. So we have the 10-year business cycle where we know Warren Buffett wasn't buying anything a year and a half before the pandemic. So that was in bubble territory. The Buffett index is well over 125%. Amazon, I mean, come on, price earnings. Amazon is trading right now at 100 times price earnings. We just talked about only Nintendo made it 100 years in Japan. Only GE made it 100 years in America, and then it collapsed just recently. To have Amazon trading at 100 times earnings, you have to be completely out of your mind. So that bubble's there. We have inequalities. We have racial problems, and not to mention this virus flying around that I just heard about today, Corona something.
That's right.
So a lot of things are turned upside down. And I can assure you that whenever they're turned upside down, they never rearrange. They always rearrange in a new way because guys like you are innovators, and you say, you know what's a better business model now? So I just want you to finish your closing statement on, with everything turned upside down, what's a better way to rebuild your Phoenix dental office from the ashes and rise again? What would you give them? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, if we're still operating today, the first thing I would do is make sure I have a very, very thoughtful payment waterfall. So how do I address my prime credit patients all the way through the credit challenge? You got to make sure you have those payment plans in place. And that payment waterfall typically is Care Credit and then flowing into PrimaHealth Credit to help you say yes to more patients, help you generate more production and start producing more cash flow. So you got to have that in place to rebuild.
Nice. Well said. Payment waterfall. I've never heard that one before. Fantastic. Yeah. And I always tell the kids, hold up your hand, look at your 5 fingers. Is it faster, easier, better, higher quality, lower cost, smaller? And if it is faster, easier, higher quality, lower cost, and smaller, and then if it answers all 5 of those, you're insane not to do it. If it answers 4 of them, you should do it. But usually dentists always show me something about how this is so much better and it's so much higher quality and it's the perfect thing for a king. And then I'll say, was it faster? Oh, no, it's 3 more steps. Is it more expensive? Oh, hell yeah, it's twice as much. I mean, it's always, and that's where, Henry Ford, the reason everybody remembers Henry Ford name is they don't remember the 86 car companies before him that started all the way in Germany, who were a company making 1 car a year for a really rich guy. And Henry Ford said, there's 86 people making nice cars for rich people. Let's try to make one for the working man. And I would rather own McDonald's than the fanciest steakhouse. What's the fancy one? And this came out of New Orleans. Ruth Chris Steakhouse. Yes. I'd rather own McDonald's than Ruth Chris Steakhouse because there's a hell of a lot more people eating Big Macs than there are Ruth Chris Steakhouse. And that is one of dentistry's greatest downfalls is 95% of the entire CE market is chasing the top 5%. Like if you go to a dental convention and you say, I want to learn how to take implants. I'm going to go take this implant course. Oh, what's it going to be? Don't even tell me. It's going to be all on 4. It's going to be about a $50,000 case, $25,000 arch. And every dentist listening to this thing right now is going to do 100 all-on-none dentures for every all-on-1 for $50,000. So why do you learn all-on-4? Why do you and then you always take it in course from some movie star in Beverly Hills, and you're in Parsons, Kansas, that's never had a movie star one time in their life, and you're out there chasing Hollywood. So make it faster, easier, better, higher quality, lower cost, and you'll help a lot of people. You'll save a lot of teeth, and you'll make a lot of money. Thank you so much, Brendon Kensel, founder and CEO at PrimaHealth Credit. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Excellent. Thanks for having me, Howard. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
Yep. Bye-bye.